Hello, everyone. We're back live on YouTube. Thank you for being here. Let me know in the chat where you're coming from. And I'm just so excited to do this. I've been loving doing these live streams, trying to do this once a week now, honestly. It's been so much fun to get to connect with people live. So let me know where you're coming from, what time it is where you are, and what your plans for the rest of the day or night are. I would love to get some chat going. Today, I'm pretty much just going to be open discussion mode. This is Hang Out with Jake live. I'm going to go over some of the Railcut features. We're in the middle of the launch week. It's officially been out for 1 week, but I've extended the launch sale to go through this Friday. The response to Railcut has been absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely love seeing everything online from the users of Railcut and how you're enjoying it. So if you've purchased it, I so appreciate you. If you're on the fence, hopefully I can convince you that it's worth your money today while it's still $10 off. But good to see these comments coming in. I'm really gonna try my best to keep an eye on these comments as they happen so that I can answer questions kind of promptly. But it is kind of a difficult thing to do while streaming, but we'll make it work. I see people from India, Pittsburgh. We've got Brazil. Thank you all for being here. Already got a feature request. That's great. Let's see if I can remember how to do this. Okay, feature request. Could you make the name of the layer stay visible in the timeline when scrubbing through it? Oh, so not attached to the front of the clip? I think that's what you're saying. Probably. That's not a bad request. I'm going to be honest with everybody who has feature requests of Railcut today. There's just no way I'm going to be able to keep track of them live. So please make your feature requests through the submit feedback form in Railcut. And that is the most certain way that your request will get to me. I will see every one of those requests, any feedback. I just emailed you. I told you that in an email, I told you how to kind of try and figure that out. If anyone ever has issues with Lemon Squeezy, I don't have the ability to fix it. Lemon Squeezy is my merchant of record. They manage the checkout for me. So if you have problems, yes, email me, let me know. I will check to see if I see your order. But in the cases when I don't, it's usually due to a typo in your email address or a transaction that's pending and hasn't completed yet. Anyway, trying to respond, to do customer support as much as possible, as quickly as possible. More people from Brazil, Bangladesh, New York, Mumbai, India, Oakland, California. Thank you for this. Well worth the purchase. I do sports, motion graphics, and video editing. Dynamic link from Premiere to After Effects is such a pain. I am so glad to hear that Railcut has been able to alleviate that pain. Yo, bro, how long have you been working on Railcut? I made Railcut start to finish in 6 weeks. It took an idea had formed for Railcut before that, and I pitched it to some of my students of animation principles for motion designers, and they were receptive to the idea. And one afternoon, I just went to Claude Code and I explained what I wanted it to build. And in about 4 hours, I had a working proof of concept to the point, successful enough that I knew that this was going to be possible and that we'd be able to do this. We've got the Netherlands. You're in Virginia, but from South Africa. I was born in Virginia. That's cool. You love After Effects so much. You're editing things, and you have edited things in After Effects. So this will be a game changer. I hope it is. I really hope it is for you. Glad to hear it. All right, let me just. I don't have any way of seeing the actual number of people in the stream from my stream dashboard. So I'm going to pull up the live stream on YouTube so I can actually kind of monitor how many people we have. And keep the questions coming. I want this to be absolutely an opportunity for you to get your questions answered. It can be anything. It doesn't have to be about Railcut. We've got about 59. All right, cool. That's a great little group of people. Okay, I'm seeing more comments. Let's see. Can you add auto transcribe feature in Railcut like Premiere Pro? I probably could, not planning to. I'm not trying to replace Premiere. I'm just trying to bring editing tools to After Effects. The more you do inside of After Effects in an extension, the more complicated it gets. Everything that you see in the Railcut timeline is just kind of like an illusion of a Premiere timeline or DaVinci or whatever editing app. It's all just an interface that sends After Effects actions to After Effects, and that's it. And we can talk more about that if you want, but I'm not really looking to make this an audio mixing tool or a transcription tool. There are better tools for that. Doing Captioneer. Go to captioneer.com. I think it's captioneer.com. Whoa, just knocked over a bunch of stuff. Captioneer.tv or .com. Both of them work. That is now available in After Effects. It's primarily a Premiere a caption tool, but it is so worth the money. Such a good tool. Spending the day downloading all the great free scripts on your site. Awesome. Glad to hear it. I hope that I made some changes to where if you're logged in to your Jake in Motion account, you should be able to just redeem scripts one at a time instead of having to fill out that form every single time. So hopefully that's working for you. My former coworker would edit in After Effects. Drove me nuts. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? For decades, it's been stop editing in After Effects. It's not a video editor. So I'm kind of enabling them. If we could make After Effects and Premiere Pro in one software, that would be great. I guess so. I don't know. I don't mind having two separate apps for two different tasks. I know that DaVinci Resolve has the tabbed view that lets you switch seamlessly, so it's totally possible, but they have the benefit of creating the app not 27 years ago and not building it off of legacy code. So don't hold your breath on that one. And I really hope that people understand that Railcut is not an app. It's an extension. It is just controlling After Effects, which is why it doesn't bring any performance gains or performance hits to After Effects. When you press the space bar, it's the same as pressing the space bar in After Effects. Okay, sometimes I need to make cuts in short video that need to be downloaded, 15 to 30 seconds, and this became very easy and quick going straight to After Effects and using Railcut. Awesome. I love to hear that. And what's so interesting is that at this point in my career, I'm not doing a ton of work in After Effects outside of my tutorials and my courses. So I generally won't have as much of a need for Railcut in After Effects as I think the customers will, because I'm not actively working on these 15 to 30 second videos that need captions or just quick overlays or cut downs or whatever it is. I'm not going to start editing my YouTube videos in After Effects. Like, that's just not what it's built for. So it's kind of funny that I built this tool and I think everyone else is going to benefit from it more than I am. How can I render fast in After Effects? It's 30 minutes to 1 hour for a 30-second clip. Okay, well, one, what kind of specs are you running? Obviously, your computer needs to be capable. But two, if you're working with a ton of compressed MP4 videos, convert them to ProRes. That will be a much easier format for After Effects to process. But if you're slapping on heavy effects like deep glow and particular and any camera motion blur, lens blur, anything like that, that's just how long it takes. Like, go get lunch and come back. You're probably stacking really processor and GPU intensive effects on top of compressed lossy videos, and that's hard for After Effects to do. And if you think After Effects is slow, try 3D. I know that there's GPU rendering now, but 3D is very slow. Can you walk us through how you went about vibe coding? I can give you the overview. I actually did a live stream on mograph.com and I did a little bit more of an explanation there, but my vibe coding process is all done through Claude Code. I have an extend script knowledge base that I've built up over about the last year to year and a half using Claude, and it basically guides the model. We're at a point where AI is trained really, really well, but still lacks in certain areas like After Effects extend script to be able to create scripts for After Effects. But instead of needing to retrain an entire AI model to be able to work with After Effects, we're at a point where Claude is smart enough and has a context large enough that I can supply it with the information it needs without needing to retrain it on how to code. It knows how to code. We just have to say, okay, I need you to code within these parameters. So I built up a very specific system for working in After Effects, and I think Railcut is the proof that it's working. Because prior to it, I had never made an extension. I've only worked on scripts, and since I had that knowledge base built up, and an extension is essentially doing the same thing. It just has more polished UI. You can do a lot more with the UI, and you can have it communicate with a lot more things. Claude Code was able to handle it, and I could point it in the direction of where to research, how to make extensions, and how to get things to work, and it all worked together. And Railcut was born. If you had to choose only 3 plugins or scripts for the rest of your life, then what would those 3 be? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just say I'm not going to say any of my own. Overlord is number 1. That's an easy one. Like, Overlord is absolutely the number 1 plugin. I think it will stand the test of time as the GOAT when it comes to an After Effects extension. Number 2 that I couldn't imagine living without. It's really tough because it would be an easing tool, and I have several, and I like all of them. I think my favorite one right now is Kease, Kease, because it has the value graph style editor. It has presets, which is what I really want, but it also has more than 2 keyframe presets. So very cool easing tool. But there's also Flow. Obviously, that's a massively popular, really good one. And there's the Motion suite of easing tools that are really, really good if you subscribe. 3, probably Ease Copy. Now, I go back and forth with that because Kease has Ease Copy functionality, and so do some of those other easing tools. Oh, okay. So instead of Ease Copy, I'm going to put Ease Copy in with those other easing ones. Number 3 would be Skew Pro. Probably my favorite After Effects extension. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything here. I'm just going to look at my extensions list real quick. I mean, K-Bar is obviously massive. I know a lot of people like Mobar. Pseudo Effect Maker, personally, I use that all the time to make custom effect controls for my scripts and my presets. Rubber Hose is huge. It really depends on the work you're doing. At this point, I'm doing so many things in After Effects. I'm not actively working on it for client work, so it's hard to say what I'd be using 100% of the time, but I use Skew a lot. I use Overlord, obviously, every day. That's permanently docked in my workspace anytime I need to transfer files around. And then Kease is kind of my tool of choice right now for easing. So those are my top. Let's see. Watched the replay of your other live stream and saw several questions about time remapping in Railcut, but I was still unsure if there was ability to keyframe time remapping in Railcut like Premiere. Not yet. I've considered adding that because it is a very unique, interesting way of doing time remapping, where the clip shortens and lengthens as you do it. But nobody has come out and officially asked for that, I don't think, in a... actually, I might be wrong. There's so many feature requests that have come in. Somebody might have. But just to be sure, request that through the tool, unless you haven't purchased it yet. I understand. But it's not there yet. Currently, the only keyframing you can do inside of Railcut is opacity on video clips and audio levels on audio clips. You developed effects. Are you the guy who give the concept as an artist or write code for them? I've not developed any effects. I'm not sure what your question is. I do not know how to write code. After Effects expressions is as far as it goes for me. So I have not coded any of my own tools. Will there be updates to your current Rive tutorials in light of the many updates that folks at Rive have introduced? Yes, it is on my list. I have obviously tried my best to keep my course updated, but I would really like to follow up my Learn Rive in 25 Minutes video with an updated one because the interface has changed. Things have moved around a little bit. Some things are renamed, and I'm seeing the YouTube comments coming in saying this is outdated. Yeah, I really want to do that. I want to update that. Do you think Railcut could catch Adobe's attention? And please, we can have a free trial. 2 things. No, there's no free trial set up. I don't have a system in place to allow that, but I do have a 7-day refund policy. and it's $38 instead of $48 for the next 3 days. So I'd encourage you to get that while you still can at $38. Do I think Railcut could catch Adobe's attention? Well, I know that it has caught the attention of the After Effects team because I've spoken to them about it. They've let me know that it's caught their attention. And as far as like Adobe as a whole, yeah, I'm sure they're aware of it. I don't at all expect them to say, hey, Jake, we want to buy you out. I don't understand why they ever would. Just because I made something that's similar to one of the other products that they already own. Like, if anything, this is going to hurt Adobe because you could technically just get an After Effects subscription. Isn't that an option instead of having the full-blown Creative Cloud suite? If you only needed to do light editing work, I'm enabling you to do that. So if they were to buy me out, I would think that it would be because they want to kill it, not because they're a fan of it. Hey, I was just thinking, any events or get-togethers this year that you're attending would be fun to meet you and other motion peeps in person. I would really like to. I'm not a huge traveler, but I also have never really been invited. Like, at this point, I think I would like to start doing speaking engagements. I would love to present at conferences and make that happen. But as far as just attending an event, doesn't happen all that often. This year, Camp MoGraph is coming to Colorado. It's literally less than an hour drive for me. And I would really like to make it out there. I know I can't be there for the whole time, but I'm going to potentially reach out to the people at Camp MoGraph and see if maybe I could come out for a day. If there's anything that I could do to help to contribute to Camp MoGraph, I would love to do that. Do you use Cinema 4D? I did for the longest time, and I was working with Cinema 4D, like freelance work. And eventually, it just got too expensive, and I wasn't doing work for it anymore, or with it anymore. So I stopped my Maxon subscription, and I learned Blender. How do you deal with color shifting when you go from Illustrator to After Effects? My designs occasionally look different when importing Illustrator files into After Effects. A lot of times it has to do with CMYK versus RGB. So make sure you're using RGB color space in Illustrator. Otherwise, I don't know, man. Color is one of the hardest things to keep consistent between apps. And especially after exporting out of After Effects, it looks different on any device you play it on. This screen looks different than that screen. My phone looks different than my wife's phone. At some point, probably 5 or 10 years ago, I kind of just said, you know what? It is what it is. I'm glad I don't have any clients that are so incredibly specific about their colors in their branding. It's just one of those things. Are you going to show off Railcut in this live? Yes, I would love to. And let me know if you want to see anything specific. I have, since the last live stream, shipped the first update, which is jammed packed with feature requests and bug fixes reported by Railcut users. We can go over that. I'm curious what Railcut would materially improve for someone who already edits efficiently in After Effects. If you're able to edit efficiently in After Effects, you don't need Railcut. This would allow you to do ripple edits and use slip and slide tools that you don't have access to in After Effects, and easily manage. 150 layers could collapse to 4 to 5 tracks just because the way that After Effects works, all of those layers exist the entire length of your timeline. And in Railcut, they can exist on tracks instead of individual layers. So I think that it's just a much better workflow for editorial style work. All right, let me scroll through these comments a little bit. I was going to make an April Fool's video today, and I decided against it because 1, I'm super busy, but 2, it's in the middle of Railcut. But I was going to make a joke about how big announcement, new plugin, I'm bringing After Effects to Premiere. So that was going to be a joke. So no, I'm not planning on doing that. As someone who started my career as an editor, then picked up After Effects in Motion, I find Premiere's time remapping in the timeline more intuitive. I understand that. I'm very used to the time remapping in After Effects, but I remember when I was doing editing a lot more for work and needing to do time remapping, I appreciated the way that it was laid out. Would you ever teach at NAB? Yes, please. So I never really finished my thought. I would love to do those kinds of things. Just hardly anybody ever reaches out to me. So if anybody is watching who runs the Adobe booth or anything at any of the conferences, Adobe Max, NAB, Dash Bash, any of these conferences, I would love to come. I would love to come. Please hit me up, jake@jakeinmotion.com. Hi, Jake. I've made a few scripts with ChatGPT and managed to make an extension as well, but it was not simple. No, it wasn't. Can you briefly explain how Claude Code set up the framework for the extension? Thanks. Very briefly, I pointed Claude Code in the direction of researching how extensions are built. That's pretty much it. I told Claude, can you please go research how to make After Effects extensions and document what you find? Build yourself skills so that you know how to do it. And that's how it all started. Does Railcut have an EDL export feature? Not yet, so that we could provide a micro support to the main working EDL in Premiere, Avid, Resolve, etc. That's a fantastic idea. You're not the first person to recommend that, but I think that it would be completely possible. So submit that feature request. Some folks in subreddit After Effects are telling why this is needed when Premiere Dynamic Link is there. So I've given proper answer to them. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have purposely not shared anything about Railcut on Reddit because that's pretty much the most critical place you could possibly go. I engaged with a couple of people on Reddit who were being critical of Railcut and specifically my marketing language. And I still stand by everything that I say on the product page. And I'm not going to continue to devolve into more and more arguments on Reddit. There were 2 people out of the tidal wave of positive response on Reddit that were being negative. One in general was just 100% against anything that was 100% AI coded. They had no faith that I was going to continue supporting Railcut or that an After Effects update was going to completely break Railcut and like I would just leave it there and abandon it, which is absolutely not the case. Thank you from the US. Somebody did it. Somebody called me Jack. This is a running thing. If you've been on the past live streams, you know people like to call me Jack. If someone is making something really, really good with vibe coding, would you take interest in taking it further? Not necessarily. I don't know. That's kind of strange. Tell me more about it. But I like to have my own original ideas generally. Question, you don't edit your YouTube videos in After Effects, obviously, but this AE Best Seamless Transition Rig in After Effects free preset, Beast. What is your workflow? Can you explain your flow of using it? So you're referring to the picture-in-picture matte transition that I created. I have a tutorial where I show you how I built that in After Effects, and then I have a follow-up tutorial where I show how I turn that into a MOGRT that you can use in Premiere. So I use that in Premiere when I need to do the picture-in-picture transition thing, but I also use a extension for Premiere called Easify Pro 2, I think, that allows me to do those kinds of animations much more easily. And I've kind of made presets. So when I need to go from full screen down to the picture-in-picture in Premiere, I can. But that's my flow. I don't really use it in After Effects much. No trial period, just a 7-day return policy for Railcut. Let's see. How does updating Railcut work because of the seats? So your 2 seats are tied to your account, and they are authenticated when you type in or paste in your license key. Updates maintain that license key, so you don't have to re-authenticate or anything. Railcut does that automatically in the background, I think once a week, and so you could use Railcut offline for 7 days before it asks you to re-authenticate. But updates, they are free. They are included until if one day version 2 comes out, it would be a complete overhaul of the extension with tons of new features or performance, something, I don't know. Until that day, all of your updates are free. NAB show in Las Vegas would be an awesome spot for you. You were a great teacher and make things easy. Thank you so much. So I actually did go to NAB and I was asked that time to present at, what was it called? After Effects World, I think, which was like a side conference for After Effects and Premiere stuff. So I did present then, and that was really fun. And I got to present online once, I think, it was either NAB or Adobe Max. But I'd really like to go in person. I love getting to meet people in person and hang out with them. I've already answered this question. You can stop pasting it over and over. I'm not making an After Effects for Premiere. After Effects can't handle lags, 500 to 1,000 layered timelines. How does Railcut handle that issue? Exactly the same way that After Effects does. It's not going to play back real time if After Effects can't play back real time, because when you press play in Railcut, it's just pressing play in After Effects. The way that I work with Railcut to get real-time feedback, real-time playback, is by not treating Railcut as a timeline for my motion design work that has 500 to 1,000 layers and effects and expressions and 3D. Like, that's just not what Railcut is. Railcut is for editorial work, for managing your layers in a clip-based, track-based timeline. And if your machine can play back raw footage, compressed footage with no effects, no adjustment layers in real time, because it's caching those frames faster than it can play them back, that's where you can get that real-time playback from. And I'm very open and honest about that with Railcut. It is not processing the video somehow in a way that allows it to play back this footage in real time. It's just controlling After Effects. Super glad to hear that it's blowing people's minds. That's awesome. Thank you for that comment. Did you guys discuss the potential of future features? By the way, I really like Railcut, bought it and promoted to my students. Thank you. Thank you so much. We haven't really talked about future features too much yet, just a couple. Happy to dive into more. Half of me thought this live stream was just an April Fool's joke. That was actually really funny yesterday when I finally posted the reveal video to YouTube. A lot of people were starting to say it's April 1st. I'm like, no, I promise it's real. I will be there soon. I will put your name on the survey sheets. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that. Big fan of your t-shirt collection. Thanks, Razik. This is my hometown of Traverse City, Michigan. Okay, so there aren't too many comments. I'm going to try and catch up with all of them. Okay, yes, yeah. Awkward silence. Question about Overlord. How does it handle for updating layers in Illustrator for an already rigged character in After Effects? That sounds like just a recipe for disaster. You can try it. I would not recommend it. What happened after it all started with developing Railcut? Did you test all the versions after doing an adjustment until you got the release version? Yeah, I had beta testers. I got it to a point where I thought I had tested it really, really thoroughly and that it was feature rich and ready to show to people. And I had a group of beta testers that are close friends, and they immediately ripped it to shreds, just absolutely exposed all of its flaws. And over the next 4 weeks I got several rounds of feedback from people and just went straight back to Claude Code and was fixing things and updating things. And it was very, very valuable to have those beta testers. Like the first version, the version that I honestly thought this'll work, didn't have clip thumbnails. It didn't have audio waveforms. You couldn't drag and drop from the project panel directly on the timeline. I mean, there were so many things. And the biggest thing that I learned, honestly, the biggest revelation was that everyone edits differently. Just from watching the first beta tester, Kyle Hamrick, I learned, I think, 7 different things about Premiere I didn't even know existed. And that's just a testament to how customizable the workflow in Premiere and a video editor is. So there were just so many little things that he was trying to do in Railcut, expecting me to have transferred all of those features from Premiere, and they just didn't exist. So it is close to, I'd say, 5 times the tool that the original beta version was. Can you explain just one more time how Railcut improves After Effects import? I see. Okay, you got me. Can you enable disable selected layers inside Railcut with Shift-E, like in Premiere? I don't know if I assigned that keyboard shortcut. Let me open it up and I'll share my screen. So I'm going to move the chat over here. I'm going to share my screen. We're going to do an entire screen share. Okay. So what layout do we like? I don't know. I got to get this comment out of the way so that you can see it. I think that's a little better. You have a better view here, right? Okay, so the question was, can you, something with Shift E. What was it? Can you enable or disable selected layers inside of Railcut with Shift E like in Premiere? Let's try. Shift E. Oh, yes. Somebody must have asked for that because I didn't know of that shortcut in Premiere. It's working. There you go. Any of those little commands, especially if they exist in Premiere, please let me know. I'm happy to add them. That is one of the easiest feature updates that I can do, is add another keyboard shortcut for you that's missing. Are you sure command doesn't register at all for extensions? Pretty sure I managed to incorporate it in my tool. Please let me know if you did. Confirm that for me, because I tried. Nothing that I did on Mac got command to work in an extension in After Effects. If that is true, if you have found a way to incorporate command modifier key shortcuts on Mac, that will make the experience so much better for Mac users. Please let me know if you figured that out. Email me at jake@jakeofmotion.com or join my Discord server and message me there. You said the plugin you use in Premiere is Easify. Yes, I think so. Easify Pro 2. Oh, it's Easify 3 Pro now. So that's on AE Scripts. You can find it there. It is $60 for the Pro version, and well worth it, because here's the thing about Premiere and After Effects. After Effects is actually significantly more open in terms of what it exposes to API for third-party developers to be able to create scripts and extensions and manipulate and batch operations. It's very, very open. Premiere, very, very closed. The graph editor that you have access to inside of Premiere is horrendous. I have an open request on their form to just enable snapping, so you can snap the handles of the Bezier handles to perfectly horizontal. It is so frustrating, and they don't expose that part of the API to developers. Somehow, Easify has gotten a workaround, and it generates a keyframe on every frame, but it allows you to do easing with a value graph. Sometimes I need to just cut a video without saving the project. With Premiere, I can't, and ended up editing on After Effects now with Railcut. See, that's exactly my thinking too. You have to set up a project. You have to pick a directory. You have to import assets into Premiere. And if I just need to do a basic edit, like with a screen recording, even if I just record a quick little demo and I like coughed at the beginning or couldn't find the stop button at the end, and I just want to trim those two things off, I could do it in Media Encoder. But if I already have After Effects open, because that's likely where the screen recording was, now I can just bring it into Railcut and trim, export. Yes, you can do that in the native timeline too, pretty easily, but I'm on the same wavelength, I think, as you. And also, I just realized I'm covering up my camera with that comment. Has anybody created a tool that makes clips snap to a BPM? I'm not sure, but Overlord does have Beat Grid that generates a shape layer with markers at the specific BPM that you specify. It's very cool, free battle axe tool. What happens when I save a project to an older After Effects version to share with clients who haven't updated to the latest version of After Effects? That sounds like it has nothing to do with Railcut. They can't open it. You have to save back. You have to go to File, Save As, and then say as 25 or 24. That's as far back as you can go with 2026. And then they can open it. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Don't know who you're responding to, but I appreciate the positivity. Will the Railcut timeline show the same way on different computer with Railcut? Because those metadata need to be stored somewhere. Not at this time. And that is something that is a priority for me. I am working on a solution that I believe will be very reliable to preserve track assignments between project files, transfer with project files. So stay tuned. I am very aware of that inconsistency. You can do things down here in After Effects and it will adjust. It will affect how things are laid out in Railcut. And that's just by the nature of how Railcut works. It is translating what it sees, Down here in After Effects, 2 clips on track. So you see this layer's on top in the layer stack in After Effects, but it's showing on the lowest track in Railcut. That's just because there's no overlap between this layer and this one. As soon as I do this, it jumps up because it would be causing an overwrite otherwise. So I think for version 1, this is completely acceptable. But just be aware that I have a very solid plan that I believe is going to solve that problem and make it much more reliable from project to project. So yeah, stay tuned. And I'm sorry, that comment was hiding everything that I was just demoing. Let me show you one more time real quick. I move this layer up to the top. It doesn't move. As soon as I extend this out, it jumps up to above these other clips. So even though it's at the top here, After Effects or Railcut is reading that and saying, oh, it doesn't need to be above these clips, so we're going to push it down. Now I could move it up here and it should stay. Yes. If I move this down, it even persists. So there is some logic in Railcut that I attempted to make it persistent. It's just not 100% reliable because After Effects is the ultimate source of truth for Railcut. Okay. Q and W do work, yes. The command key on FX Console works. FX Console is not an extension. FX Console is a plugin. From everything that I researched, it's the extension that this is a known issue with Adobe and extensions on Mac. Is Easify the solution for those god-awful easing handles? Yes. It basically is flow inside of Premiere. That is the easiest way to understand it. Can I use shortcuts from? Can I use them shortcuts from? You can use shortcuts. You can customize shortcuts. I have presets built into Railcut. So there is Premiere, DaVinci, Final Cut Pro, and After Effects. So you can stick with After Effects shortcuts. You can use any of these other ones, but you can also customize them. Just click on it and then press the key you want to assign it to. And I think I'm, yeah, that's how it works. And then you can reset it back to defaults. You can also save as your own preset and it'll show up in the list. I have gotten a request to make this exportable, essentially. People have requested that you could import presets from Premiere. I'm going to work on that. I think that is completely possible to be able to translate a simple text file into this set of keyboard shortcuts. And this keeps expanding. In the 1.0.1 update, there have been more keyboard shortcuts added in here. So keep them coming. If I've left any out that you use all the time, please let me know. Is pre-comping or nesting possible in Railcut, or would you have to bounce back to the normal After Effects timeline? Well, let me show you. By the way, I don't know why this clip is even here. There was nothing there, but I'm just going to grab let's say these two in the middle. I'm going to right click. I'm going to say pre-compose clips. I'm going to say trim duration to the selected clips and click OK. There you go. That was one of the #1 features requests that I got early on. It is essentially nesting inside of After Effects. That's what pre-comping is. And that is what it now does. So absolutely achievable in Railcut 1.0.1. Update if you haven't already. Double click to go into the pre-comp. It's all there. It's all working. Good question. How do I install in system? I don't know what you mean. If you're talking about the extension itself, you need an After Effects extension or an Adobe extension installer. And I recommend AE Scripts ZXP and UXP installer. Can I import Premiere shortcuts? No. Hopefully that will be coming soon though. When I press Control K, it cuts all layers instead of just the selected one. In Premiere, the same shortcut cuts only the selected layer. Is this a bug? It's not a bug. It's probably just my negligence of how Premiere works. So if I press Command K on one, it makes the cut. If I bring a second clip up, let me expand this out. And I do Command K. It's only going to do it on targeted tracks. If you enable the targeting on other clips, that is what's going to happen. And I believe that's how it works in Premiere. Now, I remember now, if you go into your settings, there is a preference right here, the add edit mode is set to track targeting, which is what I just described, but you can say selection or all tracks. Now, if I select just this clip, it's going to just cut that clip. And if I select nothing, it's going to cut across all tracks, regardless of track targeting. So that is a preference that already exists. And if I'm wrong on the behavior of Premiere, I should address that. I want it to kind of default to the Premiere behavior. Okay. Does selecting layers in Railcut open the effects for that layer in the effects controls? If you have the push or the sync selection to After Effects preference or toggle enabled. So if you go to the wrench menu, this was something that I believe Razik in the chat requested, but there is now a toggle to link selection to After Effects. So when I click that and I click here, if we have the effects control panel open, let's add an effect. So let's just say fast box blur or radial, whatever. That clip is this one right here. So if I select this one, yes. So with that sync enabled, it will bring up the effect controls. The reason that's not on by default is because if I had, I don't know, let's just go wild. I now have 63 layers in After Effects, and what a timeline. I'm going to just make these all nice and small. If I selected all of these now, you see I'm getting the spinning wheel and it took that long to select all of the After Effects layers. That is why I disabled that feature. I actually didn't ship version 1 with that feature because it was an issue, but then people said, well, what if it was a toggle? Or if that toggle is off, let's turn sync selection to AE off. I believe the keyboard shortcut is now Shift G, and that pushes your selection from Railcut to After Effects. So if you don't want it on all the time, but you want to be able to quickly just grab that layer, Shift G, and then jump to After Effects and press X, that'll scroll to those layers. Do you recommend a specific tutorial for basic editing? Oh, I'm sure School of Motion has one. I'm sure Kyle Hamrick has some. Go check out his tutorials. He made Premiere for motion designers for School of Motion. Highly, highly recommend that course. And I'm sure that there was some kind of promotion on the School of Motion YouTube channel from him in regards to that. All right. Your effect explaining the series is Diamond Mine of YouTube. Thank you for it. So can you make a plugin which will show all effects visually? Ha! Well, thank you, number one. Number two, no, I'm not planning on making any actual plugins that actually render stuff. So don't hold your breath on that. Why an extension rather than a plugin? Is it because of the web interface? Yes. Well, and because extensions are significantly easier to create than a plugin. A plugin is going to require like C++, which I'm sure Cloud Code could do, but I wasn't prepared to go down that route. And a plugin is really meant to generate things, right? To execute almost applications. Element 3D is a plugin. It generates 3D objects. Particular is a particle generator that renders things. It's actually creating what you're seeing. The extension and what Railcut is just interpreting what's open and displaying it in this kind of web wrapper, which Cloud Code is extremely good at web content. That's what this is. It's HTML, CSS, and it's just creating an interface where, like, I could have created Railcut as a script. It would have been a massive script, and it would have been a pain to use because I couldn't have had a timeline like this. I could have had a slider, but it just interacting with a script, I could have made a button that said, cut, and that would have done the exact same thing as clicking on this razor tool and then clicking right here. It's sending the same commands. It's just in a much more natural to use interface, and it just feels like an actual app because of what web design and CSS and all of that is allowing you to do. So to really answer your question, I think it's because it doesn't need to be a plugin. Yeah, I know somebody already made a cracked version of it. That is inevitable. It took like less than 48 hours. Thanks for letting me know. Please buy it. How does updating Railcut work with the seats? I already answered this, but you do not need to reset seats to install the newer versions in the future. No, that should not happen. When you install a new version, that should not happen. And even if it does, you can go into your settings into your license tab, which I think it's obscured a little bit, but yeah, I mean, you can deactivate this device as well as from Lemon Squeezy. If you log into your Lemon Squeezy account, go to your license, you can deactivate individual machines. So that is completely like not an issue. You missed what? You can't use Command key on Mac for the shortcuts in Railcut? Currently, no. All of the Command keyboard shortcuts are swapped to the Control key on Mac. Very unfortunate. Again, I would love to know if I'm wrong. Please tell me I'm wrong. I want to fix that. Does the After Effects timeline always need to be visible? Can I just leave it in another tab? It always has to be separate from the Railcut timeline. But you can do this, and it will work just fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. The reason it has to be open is because if I press the space bar, After Effects is actually switching to the After Effects timelines view. So if I just bring this up here, so now both of these are in the same tab. This is how I ideally wanted it to work. But as soon as I press play, that happens. After Effects is always going to bring the active timeline, the active comps timeline to the foreground if it's behind another panel tab. So that's why I just dock it in a separate section. And that way nothing happens to Railcut when you press space. It just stays there. So you can keep all of your tabs down at the base of the screen like that. And just, pop it up if you need to access it for some reason and then close it back down if you don't. Great question. Is there track matting or parenting functionality within Railcut as well? I'm thinking it'd be cool to have those functions on the right side of the layers in Railcut for easy access and use. Not at this time. Again, my vision for this tool is that you use it to do the editing work that you need to do, and then you close it. Or swap this like that. Like, just keep it as like a drawer that opens and closes as you need it. It's much easier and more reliable to do keyframing and blending modes and track mats and parenting, all that stuff right in here. That being said, yes, I absolutely could bring this stuff over to Railcut, but what I think, you're not the only one to ask this question, so I'm not trying to pick on you, but I think what you're not thinking through is how would that look on a track-based timeline? Because those controls would have to exist for every single clip. And your clips are all on one track. So how do you work with track mats on a per clip level? They would have to live on the clip, right? Or maybe I could create something more like a properties panel where you select a clip and then you see properties for it over here, like blending mode, the parenting, the track matting, but then are we pick whipping into the comp? I don't know. That is literally the first time I considered that as an option. It's doable, but is it just easier to do this since that timeline's open anyway? I don't know. You tell me. I'm open to any and all feedback. So if that's something you want me to explore, let me know. You may have already answered this, but I'm playing with my own vibe coding tool for After Effects. Are you using UXP format for this? No. As I understand it, UXP is not supported in After Effects yet. It is supported in Photoshop. It is not supported for After Effects yet. Once they make it available, I will be immediately moving Railcut development into getting it compatible with UXP because I know that they're killing off CEP. What about speed remapping? We already talked about this. I'm glad to hear that there are several people asking for this feature, but you have to use After Effects right now for time remapping, other than rate stretching. So the rate stretch tool, R on the keyboard, works exactly the same in Premiere as it does in After Effects. Let me make this bigger so you can see exactly what it looks like. So this is the clip. I'm going to change its color so it's just abundantly clear. So this is the clip. And if I expand this, you can see the speed, the stretch values rather, right here. And I grab this with the rate stretch tool and I stretch it out. That will extend it to 206%. That is the same thing as holding Alt or Option and clicking and dragging in After Effects. It is using that stretch factor to rate stretch. Now, speed ramping, that is not part of Railcut yet. Glad to hear that there is interest in it, though. Is anyone else having issues signing in to download it from Lemon Squeezy? Yes, you are not alone. The vast majority of people are not, but I've had several support emails. I'm very sorry that you're not able to access your Lemon Squeezy. Please email me if you haven't yet. But generally, when it is, generally I can pull up the order number and I can see that it's like a typo in your email address, and I can fix that for you. But every now and then it just doesn't show, and I have no control over that. You got to contact Lemon Squeezy support. They are the merchant of record. They are essentially selling you my tools on my behalf. I don't have any interaction with your checkout process or being able to help you with your Lemon Squeezy account. Curious how you arrived at the price of $38. Well worth it, but just wondering how you arrived at that price. Well, the full price is $48. I price all of my stuff in eights, and that's a personal choice. There is a reason for it. I'm not going to share it, but I do eights. So $48 is close to a $50 price point. I honestly, this is my first extension. I went into this not knowing if people were going to think this was a joke and not buy it. The absolute polar opposite has happened. I cannot believe how enthusiastic the response has been for Railcut. But I stuck to $48. And, I think the most expensive extensions and third-party tools for After Effects are well worth the cost. I think it's all based on how much time it saves you. And it's probably more a sign of just me not being very confident that this was going to be a tool many people would be interested in. And boy, was I wrong. I was so wrong. The toggles that I had enabled in the preview panel in my review, I felt it needed those set up for Railcut to perform as expected. Has there been a change to that in the update or some disclaimer in the docs? The toggles I had enabled in the preview panel in my review. I'm trying to remember. Oh, right. So I did look at this. I'm going to review it again because Claude was very confident that scripting does not have access to these settings right here. This is something that I believe I put in the docs in the kind of like, you need to know this thing, but the range and the play from settings, those are important. If I say start of range and then I go to Railcut and I'm in the middle of my timeline and I press the space bar, it played from the beginning. Railcut showed it as playing from the middle, but it's actually playing from the beginning of the comp. So these override or control, like I don't think there's a way for me to override these settings in Railcut, and that's the issue. So you need to make sure current time is set for the play from value and the range is not set to like the work area, because then it would only play between the in and out points. So work area extended by current time and current time is how I have it set. And also this one right here, move time to preview time on spacebar stop. If I have that unchecked, I believe playing back will jump the playhead back to where it was. I'm playing from the wrong timeline. Yes, and you see how Railcut did not snap back. Interesting. Normally that would happen after going away from the panel and back, but that's a little bug if you're using that that preference. So make sure that you have that set up, move time to preview time. Again, I will look into if that is a actual limitation of scripting or if something that we can bypass eventually. That would be really nice if we could. An actual drawer functionality built in would be great. You mean for like the properties panel? What kind of drawer are you talking about? Second, that a keybind to bring it up and down would be dope. Yeah, again, clarify what you mean. Bring what up and down? And again, shortcut trigger to drawer up and down. Sorry if this has been asked, but when I hit the space bar to play, it jumps to the After Effects timeline. It doesn't stay on Railcut. How do I stay on Railcut? Yeah, so if you literally just got on, we did just address this. You have to dock Railcut in a different tab group than the After Effects timeline. After Effects will always bring the current comp's timeline into focus when you're working in the comp or when you hit the space bar. That is how it works. There's no way around that. So what I like to do is dock Railcut down at the bottom so that it lives down here and my timeline tabs live right here and I can collapse them down. Or even better, I think, is to put it in between, which I can't do that. I would have to do it like this. So now After Effects timelines are on the bottom, Railcut is right here. Even more UI space usage. Maybe that needs a pop-up to let users know. Maybe. I'm guessing you're talking about the playback issue. It'd be, yeah, probably. It'd probably be a really good idea for me to make a get up and running with Railcut video that lives in the docs and on my YouTube channel so that I can clarify these questions, these common questions, and understanding what Railcut is doing, how you need to set the preview, how you need to know that this tab timeline thing situation works. I think that would be smart, and it will come. Normally, I would edit and trim those big source footages in Premiere and bring over to After Effects sometimes to go back and forth, which is so annoying. And this is all I need basic. Yeah, I think that's the best way to look at it. I'm glad to hear that. Let's see. Let's undo back to where before that was a nested clip, if I can. That might be too much to undo. Instead of having it open as a tab, it's hidden. You hit something like Control Space, and then it pops up. Hit it again. Oh, so you're talking about like you want to see Railcut as a pop-up. So there's no way to dock a panel and make it a drawer that can open and close and expand like that with a keyboard shortcut. That is not possible. So don't expect that. I think this is the next best thing, just grabbing it and manually opening and closing it. You can obviously hit the tilde key and it maximizes it, but that's not what you want. So no, that's not going to happen. You can't have a dockable part of After Effects through an extension or a script that can be triggered to open and close with a keyboard shortcut. And somebody tell me if I'm wrong, but as I understand it, that is not possible. Search Assist. Railcut is a tool that allows for track-based editing directly within After Effects, enabling users to trim, cut, and move clips without needing to switch to Premiere. What, Search Assist, are you saying like you're putting these comments in the chat so they show up when people search for them and find the live stream? Anyway, has this been answered? I see thumbnails for MP4s, but Railcut for not for comps that have no video file. Yes, that is a limitation. It is using FFmpeg under the hood to process video files. So that is where it is getting these thumbnails from. It can't do it from things that are created inside of inside of After Effects. It might be possible, but it would probably be a monopoly on After Effects rendering to essentially create an individual thumbnail for that. Every time you split, you're going to get a new thumbnail. And having to process that pre-comp every single time, especially if that pre-comp is full of effects, it could take seconds of lag, and I don't think it's worth that. So the only layers that get it are video files that are supported and images that are supported. Unfortunately, I don't think Illustrator or Photoshop files are, but JPEGs, PNGs, those kind of things, those work. But yeah, just videos, not pre-comps. I wonder if the code used for Andrew Kramer's FX Console could be something to explore. I mentioned this earlier. FX Console is a plugin. It is not an extension. It is an entirely different beast. It is probably C++ code, not just simple JavaScript, CSS, and HTML. So an interesting thought, but also I don't think having a pop-up Railcut panel that's just floating is what you want. What you're asking for is something that slides up and down, and that cannot happen with a plugin, even as far as I know. I've never seen a plugin that is docked into After Effects Workspace. It's always either applied to a layer or something like Mocha or Element 3D, where it opens its own window. And while that's open, you can't interact with After Effects. So I don't think that's what you want. The closest thing to expanding and hiding Railcut might be setting up 2 workspaces and assigning the workspaces to keybinds at the AE level, if that even exists. Yeah, I think it does. I think you can set keyboard shortcuts to workspaces. Yeah, right there. They're all in the list. So if I search for Jake, does it bring that up? Or Jake's, isn't that what I call it? I don't know. I believe that you can set keyboard shortcuts for any of those. So not a bad idea. What happens if you unlock the Railcut, keep it above the timeline without docking, and press the space bar? Undock. Well, for one, it's got that giant white bar on Windows, at least, that I hate. Bring the timeline up here. Hide the After Effects timeline. Oh, goodness. It's going to try and dock it. Well, for one, it's hard to do. Okay, let's play. Yeah, it stays. That would just bother me so much to have that floating. And it doesn't seem to be playing the estimate playhead. Interesting. I've never done that. I've never tried to do a floating window. I'm going to just try that one more time now that I'm back docked. Yeah, interesting. I wonder why the Railcut playhead didn't move when it was floating. Just wanted to say you're great, Jake. Oh, thank you, Corey. Thanks for always coming up with tools, courses, tutorials, etc. for helping people improve. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it, and I love doing it. It brings me joy. If assets are dropped into the After Effects comp, but they're outside of the comp timeline duration, will they display in Railcut? Yes. So I don't know if I have anything long enough. Let me just make a new comp real quick. I'm going to make it 10 minutes long. And I'm going to put a solid in it. And this is my solid. And I open up the timeline we were just in. And I bring that 10-minute comp into this one. There you go. It is displaying. You can zoom out, I believe, as far as you want. Yeah, there you go. Still fully editable. It is shaded so that you know that is where the comp ends. Good question. If I remember correctly, switching workspaces is very laggy, so I don't know how useful that would be. Yeah, same. I think it's, in my opinion, it is much easier to do this and that and this and that. I think that's easy. I have caught up to the end of the chat list. This is amazing. I've never done that before. We are just past the hour mark. What I'd like to do to finish this up is just quickly go over a lot of the features that I've added, which you can read all of them right here. But there are new tool keyboard shortcuts. So before you could not assign a keyboard shortcut to the tools. Now you can. All of the tools have assignable keyboard shortcuts if you want to change them. Let's see, new tool indicator that shows the active tool at the top of the timeline. This was a feature request from Razik, and he is here. Thank you for the request. Now you will, at a glance, be able to see which tool is active. So whichever one you have, it will show up right there with the keyboard shortcut, with the keyboard shortcut visible. What else? We've got middle mouse button panning. This was day one, almost immediately. Somebody said, can you please enable middle mouse button scrolling, panning? And this works both horizontally and vertically on both the audio and video tracks. So you got that. What else? We've got double click a clip. No, wait, auto scroll when scrubbing. This is something that did not exist in version 1. So if I go forward in time, I move my playhead here, and then I start scrolling this way, it's going to auto scroll in the direction that you scrub. There's double click a clip to open its source and After Effects layers panel. So if I grab this clip and I double click it now, it's going to open in the layer panel. And you can now adjust this by slipping and sliding. You can adjust the in and out points, and it will respect that. I would really love to get this to work from the project panel so that you can set your in and out points before bringing it into Railcut, because currently it just brings the entire clip in. So if I went into that file and double click, it opens it in the footage panel. I can set in and out points here. I'm going to be really surprised if this works. Yeah, it doesn't work. Yeah, that does not work that way. Even in the native After Effects timeline, if I set in and out points in the footage panel and then come back to the project panel and drag it in, it's, oh my goodness. I did not expect that to happen. All right. So why didn't it work in Railcut? Is there an in and out field that I was not aware of? Oh my gosh. Discovery live. This is going to change how Railcut works in the next version. I'm positive that this will be accessible by scripting, and you will be able to set in and out points in the footage panel. You could even bring this over here if you want it to look and feel a little bit more like Premiere. I'm in the wrong comp. Or no, it's just that's over everything. Set your in and out points before you've brought it in. You won't be able to click and drag. But, I mean, so here's the thing. You could overlay that edit already. That's probably easier, since you have the footage panel open, to set the in and out points than it is to just click and drag this down here. That's still extending the in and out points to its max. I'm positive that I can get it to work to where you set your in and out points, and when you drag it, it will read those in and out points and do it correctly. But if you have the footage panel open, you set your in and out points, it's just as easy currently to click the overwrite or the overlay button, and that will put it in with those in and out points. But now that I cannot believe I did not see that. There were so many things to consider to bring into Railcut, so I can believe that I missed it. But that's a really great discovery. I'm so glad that we caught that live. I'm just going to read the comments. Anybody reacting the same way I am? Discovery live, amazing. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to catch back up. Is there a way to extend a clip in Railcut and all the subcomps extend their links automatically? Like the actual length of the pre-comps? Not currently. I don't think that there's a Premiere command that behaves that way, so that's probably why I'd never thought to do that. But theoretically, I don't see why not. I don't see why I couldn't make a pre-comp and then enable some kind of a method for translating, kind of like the rate stretch tool, dragging, or I guess it would be more like the ripple edit tool, dragging this out to extend it, which I think I just uncovered a bug live. Oh no, it's a 10. I forgot that was a 10-minute. Or no, wait, what happened? Let me select these two clips, pre-compose. It should trim it to the selected. Oh, so it trims it. Right, that's the behavior. The comp is the length of the original comp, the original timeline, but it's trimming the in and out points there. So it would behave like, imagine this is the actual length of the timeline of that pre-comp, and I grabbed a tool that allowed you to extend it like that, and then the comp duration actually extended with it. I think that's totally possible. If that's something you care about, please submit an official feature request for it. Can we apply effects on the clips directly using the new quick apply feature? Well, I'm not running the beta version. But with FX Console, if I say, so actually, no, I know the answer. If you have toggle sync enabled, sync selection to AE, now it's going to be selected, and now I can say checkerboard, and it will apply it to that layer. Yes. So in the same way, the new feature should work, the new quick apply feature. Command K, like Premiere, works to cut clips in Railcut instead of having to select the splice tool? Yes. And I did a demo of that earlier. It will, by default, work on targeted tracks. And there is a preference in the settings in the add edit mode. You can change this to track targeting or selection / all tracks. So I actually had switched it so that it will only do your selection, or if you have nothing selected, do all tracks. If I just want to cut this clip, Control K, yes. it works that way. I'm using it right now. I hope things resume sync doesn't pop up when I'm out of timeline. Okay, so the reason why resume sync pops up is because nothing is synced to Railcut when you are not actively working in it. And that is by design, because if it is constantly reading what you're doing in After Effects, like literally, if you click on a layer and then you shift click other layers, it would have to say, oh, what did you just do? What did you just do? What did you just do? If it is constantly doing that and like dragging this around, that's going to crash After Effects. Having Railcut constantly say, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? Bad news. Now, beta testers were really confused because it didn't used to blur and dim and say resume sync. It just sat there and they didn't see any of their changes that they were making in the After Effects timeline appear in the Railcut timeline until they moved their mouse back into the panel. So I've made that UX decision so you always know when Railcut is listening, because it is only listening when you are inside the panel. So that's not going to change. Import or insert shortcut key. Yeah, that's what the that whole thing, being able to insert or overlay. I don't know if those are commands in the keyboard shortcuts or not. Overlay doesn't look like it. That's the blending mode. But I have to believe that command is accessible via scripting. And even if it's not, the fact that we discovered that the in and out points are stored with the footage source, just like in Premiere, which I was not aware of, Railcut, fingers crossed, should be able to read that information when you drag and drop down here. You've seen plugins that extend comps links all the way down. That's great. So I'm sure it's possible. You were doing the same in and out points edits rate when I discovered that. That's awesome. I think the out of focus blurry clips is distracting. Maybe gray it completely. Okay. Let me know in the chat. Do you agree with Razik? I kind of followed what skew does. If I bring up skew, oh, that's going to be not much UI space. If it'll load. But it kind of does a similar thing where it dims and lets you know it's not listening anymore. I wonder if Railcut somehow interferes with that. Huh. Skew doesn't seem to want to open. But, oh, it's because that's the old version, not Skew Pro. Okay, so no comp. Let's get the comp. You got to say load. And then it's here, okay? And then if I come out and I like change some stuff, then I come back, it says reload to keep skew in sync. It lets you know this is not accurate, so reload. So I don't know. The out of focus dim thing doesn't bother me so much. What is it about it that you don't like? I guess is my question. You're making changes and yet the blurry clips are not changing, so it throws you off. Maybe make that a preference toggle. I thought that the blurriness and the little indicator of Railcut was enough of an indication to be like, look, it's not listening right now. You need to come back to it. If that really bothers you, I mean, in my mind, it would be much more annoying for it to completely go away every time I navigate it away. But I'm open to discussion. Let me know. I'm a little fearful of just dumping a ton of preferences into Railcut just from every time I get a feature request. So I'm going to have to really think through that, consider it, get second opinions before I start doing that. J and L cuts, possible like Premiere Pro, not at this time, sadly. And I know that is disappointing, but you cannot make J or L cuts at this time. If I overwrite this clip, this pre-comp, you see it overwrote both. I have a plan that I really, really hope, if it works, will enable L and J cuts. You'll be able to separate audio and video. You'll be able to link individual audio and video. You'll be able to create groups of clips. So hopefully coming soon. Can you do a small demo of adding multiple audio layers? It acts finicky when I'm using it to add sound effects in my timeline. Explain it a little bit more than that. What does finicky mean? I can bring in an audio. This is a music track, and I cut it up a whole bunch. So I've got a bunch of different, we'll pretend these are sound effects. Like, yeah, just explain it a little bit more about what's finicky. I would love to know. Last question. Does it have the same function as Premiere, fade in and out, audio or not? No, it doesn't have that. I bet I could incorporate that. I do like that feature of Premiere, but currently you would just set keyframes like this. Fade out, ease out if you want. That's how I would do it currently. But I do like that dragging transition feature. The complex part of it would be getting it to, it has to translate it to keyframes, essentially. That feature doesn't exist in After Effects to manipulate audio in that way. So it would have to exist as probably like the stereo mixer effect that would be applied to the audio in order for that to actually create that audio transition. Maybe add text overlay saying not in sync when it goes in grayscale, or is that too much? I mean, that's essentially what resume sync means. You know, that's what I put that there for. I don't know, it just doesn't bother me the way that it seems to bother other people. Would it bother you less if it was just this portion of the timeline that was blurred and not the tools and the time code and track controls and all of that? I don't know. Somebody else agrees with me. I did that. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Hey, Jake. So since the time I asked my question, I've got Claude Pro, set it up, and already have a basic working extension in After Effects. Well done. That took me a very long time before I started tackling extensions. But yeah, I immediately saw the use of Claude Code. I went from the free plan to the $20 a month plan, and after about 5 days, went to the $100 a month plan. And I used that for about a month or two before I finally hit my quota limit, 17 hours before it reset. And those 17 hours felt like an eternity. I felt completely crippled because of how much I was able to be productive, not just in After Effects, but in day-to-day life. I've built several apps for myself. And so now I'm on the $200 a month plan. I have an OpenClaw setup with a dedicated Mac Mini. Excuse me, I am using AI constantly and very, very proactively. Will we have audio and video in same clip? Not in separate clip. That's right. Yes, that is exactly right. That is why J&L cuts are not possible right now, because they are in the same After Effects layer. There's no way to separate them. So the solution is to duplicate this so that I would have a video source and I would have an audio source, and this one, well, this is audio, but you get the picture, right? Let me pull another clip in. So you would have ease and out, and this would be video, and ease and out, and this would be audio. And then this audio would be enabled. There's no audio. Oh, I'm failing. NanoJam, that has audio and video, right? Oh, I've just mangled my project file. Railcut reveal. Okay, third time's the charm. Railcut reveal, video. Railcut reveal, audio. Turn off the video on the audio one, turn off the audio on the video one. This one will now move with that one wherever it goes and allow you to do an L or a J cut. That is the concept in theory. The tricky part is Railcut has to keep those two together, and it has to somehow prevent you from doing this in After Effects. or putting layers between them, or I mean, I guess that doesn't really matter. But I think what will end up happening is probably a comment will be added to the layer that says something like RC for Railcut, and then like Railcut, or we'll say audio source, and probably put a red label so that you know, don't touch this layer. Please don't touch this layer. Probably doesn't need duration. And then it will be locked. And that way you can't click on it. But Railcut should still be able to keep it moving in sync with the video source. And it should look just like an audio video pair up in Railcut. I have a plan for implementing that and making it reliable and having it persist from project to project so that you could open up an After Effects project that used Railcut to set specific track assignments. Say you had video on the bottom, then you had lower thirds, and then animated text, and hopefully keep that persistent from project to project. Your Team Blur. Thanks, Josh. I'm Team Blur. Thanks, Zach and Tosh. Please, please, please do a tutorial of training series on School of Motion or on your own site on how you use Claude Code for productivity, After Effects, etc. I am in the planning phase of something like that. I'm not going to do an AI course. I'm going to be upfront about that right now. The reason why is because AI changes every single week. I am thinking much more about creating a private community that, yes, would be a subscription. And I know how bad of a word that is. I know what kind of reaction that gives. But I want to make it an affordable subscription, and I want to give you a lot of value. So if you're interested in that, I will very soon be creating a basically interest form so that you can say, hey, I want to join. I want to get an idea of how many viewers are actually interested, because I see the comments. So many people on these live streams want to know how I'm using Claude Code. What is my setup? How do I build tools? And I would love to turn that into a community where I can record live sessions like this, where I'm interacting with just the private members, and then those are recorded and you can watch them as long as you're a member. And there will be other benefits to it. I'm talking through that with my marketing strategist, Kyle. I love Kyle so much. I think he's asleep right now because he's on the other side of the world. But he's really helped me kind of start to learn how to engage with my audience more. And these live streams have just been so much fun. So creating a community that probably won't be 100% focused on vibe coding or tool building, but just having a Jake in Motion private community where we can have sessions on AI and tool building and motion design and how to find work and how to edit in Premiere, like anything. I'm very open to that idea. I do 8 cam multicam setup in Premiere. Is there a good workflow for this you know of? No, not in After Effects, and definitely not in Railcut. Do not expect multicam editing to come to Railcut. I'm losing my voice a little bit. Would it be possible to regionalize the price for other countries? I think people in Brazil would love it. I'm sure. Listen, I understand. I know that the cost of living in different countries is very different. Income is very different. At this time, I do not have regionalized pricing. So no, not at this time. And I hope this doesn't sound, you know what? No, I'm not going to say anything else on that subject. At this time, the price is what it is. All right. You love the subscription model. It just makes it more accessible to everyone. Okay, well, that's good to know. I think when it comes to tools, it is the worst thing in the world. I don't think anyone wants to pay recurring price for something like Railcut or Overlord or any third-party tool. Captioneer, I think, did it the perfect way. You can subscribe for a monthly fee, which makes sense if you don't need to do captions 100% of the time, but you do this month, then you pay for a month. Or if you know you need to do captions all the time, you can buy it outright for, I think, $100, which is what I did. And now I have it. So I like that approach. For something like a private community, it would have to be a subscription. Glad to hear that you're interested. Love how you use AI for tool building. For me, that's one of the most interesting parts of AI. Also, what Corridor has done with Corridor Key. Yeah. So sick to see new features appear that we wanted for years. And because it's open source, somebody already turned it into an After Effects plugin, and it's on AE Scripts for free. You can use Corridor Key in After Effects. Yeah. So I think that's probably one of the best examples of using AI in the not really motion design space. It's more compositing, to just cut out part of the process that's just miserable. It's not fun at all to key out green screen, especially with hair and stuff. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for that. I think I'm going to end it here, guys. Just checking on the comments one more time, but I'm still bad at this whole software. I just cut myself out. I'm going to end it here because I have other things I need to do today. And I've been streaming for an hour and a half. Thank you all for sticking around, for making this a fun stream for me. I really had a great time. Thank you so much if you've purchased Railcut. As I said earlier, I am just completely overwhelmed by the positive response. It was trending on Twitter. I didn't even know that until School of Motion highlighted it, but Railcut was literally trending on Twitter. I could have never imagined that would be the response to releasing this tool. So thank you so much. I'm just gonna one more time look at these comments, see if there's anything last minute. Thanks for the overview. Love you all. I really appreciate you. I just love having this platform to be able to educate people, teach people things, build tools, share them for free most of the time. And I just so appreciate all of your support for purchasing my courses and my tools. Have a fantastic day, everyone. Yeah, I'm going to cut it there. I'm reading more questions. We'll talk next time. I hope that next week we have a different topic of discussion. I really am committed to learning Cavalry. I have not opened it yet, but I would like to start doing that on live streams. If you want specific things covered in these live streams, let me know. Oh, before I go, one idea I had that I think you're all going to be excited about. I want to vibe code a script live. I want to open it up for like, give me suggestions at the start of the stream. I pick some top ones. I create a poll that everyone votes on. This is the one I want you to build, Jake. And then I'm going to vibe code it live. And by the end of the stream, that script will be available for download on jakeinmotion.com for free. Maybe that should be the next stream. Let me know. But I think that would be such a fun video to make, such a fun live stream to make and to carry out. Thank you all so much. Have a fantastic day. See you in the next one. Bye, everybody.